Hello, I'm Jeremiah, and today I'm going to go through my top 10 movie location checklist that every filmmaker should use when deciding where to shoot. And be sure to stay through the end of the video when I share with you the most important thing to keep in mind when choosing a location. All right, let's get started. I've been getting some great feedback lately from my subscribers, and one of them asked that I talk in more detail about crew positions. So before jumping into the location checklist, I wanted to take a minute and explain the crew positions of location scout and location manager. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and in the comments write, "I subscribed." The location scout is hired in the pre-production stage, and they are responsible for finding the locations needed for the film production. Now, Google Earth has been a huge help for location scouting, but usually the production will hire a location scout with local on-the-ground knowledge. Now, the location scout may also have connections with locations that have been used by films in the past, basically ones that are friendly to productions and know how they work. Now, if you're not working with a location scout, then contacting the local film commission can be really helpful. In fact, they may even have some filming locations that you could use on their website. Once the locations are chosen, the location manager takes over. And the location manager will negotiate any fees for using that location. And they'll also figure out all of the logistics, including access and parking, and a lot of the other things I'm going to be talking about in this video. They'll also be on set during production to make sure everything runs smoothly. All right, let's jump into your location checklist. Number 10 on my list is access. How can your location be accessed and when can you use it? You're most likely going to be bringing in a bunch of equipment and people. So are there stairs at the location, an elevator? Is it in the city or is it remote? Now remember to build in extra time at your location if it's harder to access. And the second part of this is when can you access your location? Now this is most important when filming in a working business, when you can usually only shoot when the business isn't running. I can tell you there have been many locations I've shot at where I had to do it in the middle of the night because that's the only time that particular location was available. Number 9 is lighting, and in particular natural light, and how much is available at your location. Are there windows or skylights? Do you want to use natural light, or is your plan to use film lighting or maybe practical lights that are already on that location? Or maybe you're filming outside like I am here and you have to be thoughtful about the location of the sun. I'm shooting with the sun behind me now, so I have to be concerned about whether my background is going to be too overexposed while I'm shooting. And of course, talking about lighting leads us to power and the availability of electricity at your location. In fact, in one of my previous videos on location, I talked about the challenges at shooting at a house in San Francisco with 100-year-old wiring.
You what?
Now, many of you may be using LED lights for your shoot, which can be run on batteries. Now, if you are using power at a particular location, then a good formula to remember is this: watts divided by volts equals amps. So if you're using a 1,000-watt light in a regular home, which is 110 volts, then we take 1,000 watts and divide it by 110, and that gives us 9 amps of power being used by that light. Now this is important because most circuit breakers in a home are between 15 to 20 amps, except in bathrooms and kitchens where they may get up to 30 amps. Now if you're shooting at a business location, then those breakers may be closer to the 20 or 30 amp range. Wherever you're filming, make sure to find the breaker box and scout it out and see what power you have at that location before deciding to use it. Number 7 on your checklist is everybody's favorite, parking. And this can really be an issue when you're shooting in a big city, like when we're shooting in San Francisco, for instance. You have to make sure you have enough parking for all the vehicles you plan on having on set. And this sometimes means that you have to locate a parking lot that's close by your location. Number 6 on the list is cost. How much will it cost to use the space while you're shooting? Oftentimes with some extra effort, you can get a location for free.
What?
And if that's something you're interested in finding more information about, then be sure to download my free ebook, The Feature Film Fundraising Starter Kit. In it, there's a whole chapter on things you can get for free to make your film. For number 5 on my list, I decided to move inside because number 5 is noise. How much noise is there at the location that you're planning on shooting? Is your location next to a freeway or maybe a school? What about any construction happening now or planned for the future? Now, there was a shoot I was on where we scouted the location and it seemed like a nice, quiet neighborhood. But then a day after we started filming, a road construction crew showed up and started tearing up the entire street. Now, luckily, we had pulled permits from the city for shooting at that location, so we were able to work with the construction crew. In fact, every time we were about to roll our camera for a scene, we'd call down to the construction foreman, and he would stop working his crew for the 15 minutes or so that we were filming. And then as soon as we were done with that shot, we'd let them know, and then they'd start the jackhammers up again. Now, it wasn't the most ideal situation, but we made it work for the time that we were there. And that takes us to number 4, which is to make sure you have staging areas for your equipment. So set aside a dedicated space where you can store the film equipment when you're not using it. Now, this could be a separate room or maybe another part of the location. And also, if possible, set aside a private room or space for your actors to do their wardrobe and makeup, as well as to chill out between takes. Actors have a lot of downtime on set, and a separate quiet space for them will be really appreciated. Now, on bigger budget films, this is usually their own private trailer, but do what you can for your budget. Checklist item number 3 is size. Make sure you have enough room at your location for the actors, camera, and crew to all fit, and leave enough room for the blocking. Now, this is one of the reasons why when you're actually building a set, they have movable walls. Now, this is probably not an option when you're shooting actually on location, so make sure that there's enough space there on whatever place you plan on filming. And number 2 on your checklist is bathrooms, right? Of course, bathrooms would be number 2. Anyway, make sure you have access to bathrooms at every location you're filming. And if you're shooting outside, that may mean bringing in a portable bathroom. But having your cast and crew squat in the bushes is not the best way to win favors.
It happened.
What are you doing?
It happened.
Well, you're really doing it, aren't you?
And as promised, the number 1 thing to consider when choosing your location is actually 2 things. Yes, there's a bonus number 1. Those 2 things are story and character. How does this particular location help to tell the story I'm trying to tell? How does it explain the characters or tell me more about the characters that are in my film? Is the location cinematic? What mood does it create? And if that location is associated with a character in the story, maybe their office or where they live, then I want that location to tell the audience something about that character. Film is a visual medium, and great locations can really enhance the quality of your film. Thank you for watching this video all the way through to the end. I really appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. And when you do, write in the comments, I subscribe. Cheers, and I'll see you next week.